Big changes are slamming into 2026, and most people are completely blind to the warning signs. Right now, warehouses across the US are locking in final orders at 2025 pricing, and if you wait until January, you could be paying 20%, 30%, even 40% more for the very items you'll need to stay safe, warm, and fed. I'm talking real supply chain data, new federal tariff rollouts, and manufacturing cost spikes that are already baked into next year's prices. In this video, I'm breaking down the 13 essential things you'll regret not buying before January 1st, 2026. From power gear and pantry staples to tools, tires, and even toilet paper. These aren't guesses. They're categories already flashing red in procurement reports, freight forecasts, and federal regulatory filings from just this month. If you've been putting off your prep list, consider this your final heads up, because once the calendar flips, the window slams shut. Item number 1, lumber and structural building materials. This isn't just about home renovations. This is about resilience. According to the U.S. Forest Service's October 2025 report, softwood lumber prices have already jumped 18% year over year, and that's before the hammer drops on January 1st. That's when new Section 232 tariffs kick in on Canadian spruce pine fir lumber, the exact kind used in 2x4s, plywood, and most backyard builds across America. Translation, everything from your emergency greenhouse to a bug-in fortification project is about to cost significantly more. And don't think it'll just be big ticket items, small hardware is climbing too. Screws, brackets, joist hangers, even basic nails. They're all metal adjacent or wood dependent, and both are getting hit by policy and pricing shocks. Let me put it this way. You think building a raised garden bed is expensive now? Wait until you're paying $12 for a single 2x4. And that's not hyperbole, that's the math when tariffs, freight delays, and mill shortages all stack up in Q1. If you've been eyeing any kind of home project, rainwater catchment frame, pantry shelving, storm shutters, or even just reinforcing a safe room, buy now. Stock up on pressure-treated lumber, exterior-grade plywood, galvanized brackets, and a serious stash of fasteners. These don't expire, they don't go bad. And when your neighbor's scrambling in February to patch a broken window frame at triple the price, you'll already be buttoned up, dry, and secure. This one's simple. Wood today beats wallet pain tomorrow. Item number 2, vehicle maintenance supplies. Even if you drive a 10-year-old sedan or a beat-up pickup, your car runs on parts that come from a global supply chain now teetering on the edge of another price shock. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics' latest auto parts index, costs have already surged 9.7% in 2025, the sharpest jump since the post-pandemic scramble, and it's about to get worse. New expansions to Section 232 tariffs, yes, those national security tariffs, are rolling out January 1st to include brake components, sensors, exhaust manifolds, and even EV battery casings. That means the ripple hits everything: oil filters, wiper blades, serpentine belts, fuses, spark plugs, and even basic fluids like coolant and transmission additives. Here's the kicker. Most of these items are cheap, lightweight, and shelf-stable right now. A $20 oil filter today might be $30 in February. A $10 set of fuses could vanish from shelves during the next parts shortage. And let's be real, when roads get dicey, power grids flicker, or fuel gets rationed, your vehicle becomes your lifeline, not just for evacuation, but for hauling water, trading goods, or getting to a clinic. You don't want to be grounded because a $3 hose cracked and you waited too long to replace it. So grab what you can now: filters, belts, bulbs, brake pads, spare fuses, and a few jugs of essential fluids. Store them in your garage or basement. They won't take up much space, but they could keep your wheels turning when everyone else is stuck. Because in 2026, mobility isn't a convenience, it's a survival advantage, and it starts with a $5 bottle of oil today. Item number 3, solar equipment and backup power components. If there's one category that's been a roller coaster of price swings, shortages, and policy chaos, it's off-grid power, and 2025 has been especially brutal. Lithium carbonate prices spiked 31% in August alone after Chile, the world's second largest lithium producer, slapped new export restrictions on raw battery materials. At the same time, the Department of Energy rolled out stricter efficiency and labeling rules for inverters and charge controllers, effectively grounding thousands of imported units in customs until mid-2026. The result? Everything's getting more expensive and harder to find. Solar panels, portable power stations, Life PO4 batteries, even simple wiring connectors and breakers, are all riding the same volatile wave. And unlike canned beans or duct tape, this gear rarely goes on sale. When demand surges, like during the record-breaking 2025 wildfire outages, prices don't dip, they skyrocket. Let's cut through the noise. Solar gear doesn't go on sale, it goes on back order. If you've been waiting to add that second battery, upgrade from lead acid to lithium, or finally get a reliable power station for blackouts, now is the moment. Buy before January 1st and you lock in 2025 pricing. Wait until spring and you might be looking at the same setup costing hundreds more, or worse, facing months-long delays. This isn't just about comfort, it's about keeping your fridge cold, your comms charged, and your medical devices running during the next grid failure. And in a year where extreme weather caused over 220 major US outages per DOE data, that's not paranoia, that's practicality. So whether it's a $200 solar generator or a spare charge controller, grab it now, because in 2026, power won't just be precious, it'll be pricey. Item number 4, home heating, cooling, and insulation supplies. Winter 2025 is already shaping up to be one of the most expensive and unpredictable in recent memory. Natural gas futures have surged 22% since September, and the Energy Information Administration just warned of potential regional shortages if we hit a deep freeze. On top of that, the national power grid remains under unprecedented strain. The Department of Energy reported a 40% increase in grid stress events this year alone thanks to heat domes, ice storms, and aging infrastructure. Now, layer on this, manufacturers of heating and insulation products have already sent out price increase notices for 2026. That means your go-to weather stripping, window insulation kits, thermal curtains, and even basic space heaters are all about to cost more, some by as much as 25%. And here's the part no one talks about. When the power flickers out during a blizzard or heat wave, your home's ability to hold temperature isn't a luxury, it's a lifeline. You don't need a bunker, you just need smart, low-tech resilience, things like pipe insulation to prevent frozen bursts, programmable thermostats to stretch fuel, or a $30 radiant barrier curtain that cuts heat loss by 30%. These are small buys now that prevent massive problems later. So grab them while they're cheap and in stock. Attic insulation rolls, door draft stoppers, ceramic space heaters, heavy-duty fans for summer, and yes, even extra blankets. They store flat, last for years, and could mean the difference between shivering in the dark and staying warm, dry, and calm when the grid goes down. Because in 2026, your home's efficiency won't just save money, it'll save you. Item number 5, canned, shelf-stable, and bulk pantry staples. Let's cut through the noise. Food prices aren't coming down. Not in 2025, not in T6. According to the USDA's October 2025 food price outlook, we're staring down 12-15% inflation on core staples through next year, driven by fertilizer shortages, extreme drought in the Mid-South, and shipping bottlenecks at major US ports. And that's before you factor in the ripple effects of global instability, like the ongoing Black Sea grain disruptions and Argentina's soybean export collapse. This isn't just groceries getting pricier, this is your emergency food insurance getting more expensive by the week. Canned meats, beans, soups, vegetables, they've already jumped nearly 10% since summer. Bulk rice, oats, pasta, cooking oil, salt, and sugar, all trending upward with limited discount windows left before retailers reset prices for 2026. And here's the reality check. A well-stocked pantry isn't hoarding, it's smart budgeting. You buy in bulk now at 2025 prices, rotate what you eat, and build a buffer against both inflation and supply hiccups. Remember the empty shelves during the 2025 West Coast dock worker slowdown? That wasn't a fluke. It was a preview. So focus on long shelf life, high calorie, low waste items, canned tuna and chicken, dried beans, hard grains like wheat berries or popcorn kernels. Yes, they store for decades. Honey and salt. Even simple things like bouillon cubes or baking soda become gold when supply chains hiccup. A full pantry means you don't panic buy during a crisis. You don't drain your cash on marked up emergency rations. You just keep eating calmly, confidently, because in 2026, food security starts with what's already in your cupboard today. Item number 6, water storage, filters, and purification supplies. Water is the first resource to vanish in any real crisis, whether it's a hurricane knocking out municipal lines, a winter storm freezing pipes, or a boil water advisory stretching for weeks. And right now, the gear you need to secure it is sitting at a price cliff. Why? because over 78% of high-performance water filter membranes, the kind in brands like Berkey, LifeStraw, and Sawyer, are imported from Europe and Asia. New EPA compliance fees and custom screening rules for critical health components took effect in September 2025, and manufacturers have already announced 20 to 27% price hikes on replacement cartridges starting January 1st. Even basic water storage is getting hit. Food-grade plastic is tied to oil prices, which surged after Middle East shipping tensions flared in October. Those familiar blue 7-gallon jugs, expect fewer on shelves and higher tags soon. Here's the truth. You can survive weeks without food, but only 3 days without water. And when the tap runs brown or dry, you won't care about the $20 you saved by waiting. So act now. Grab gravity-fed filtration systems, countertop purifiers, bulk purification tablets, and critically replacement filters. Stock up on collapsible containers, 5-gallon food-grade buckets with gamma lids, and even heavy-duty trash bags. They make emergency water bladders in a pinch. These items don't spoil. They don't require power. And when your neighbor's boiling questionable creek water over a fire, you'll be sipping clean, safe water from your kitchen counter like it's any other Tuesday. In 2026, water independence isn't optional, it's essential. And the best time to build it, before the first freeze, flood, or failure hits. Item number 7, tools, hardware, and fasteners. You might not think of a wrench or a box of screws as survival gear, but when the grid's down, your car's acting up, or a storm blows out a window frame, your toolbox becomes your lifeline. And right now, that lifeline is about to get a lot more expensive. Metal prices are surging, steel's up 14% since July 2025, zinc and copper even more, thanks to mining disruptions in Latin America and new export curbs from key suppliers. Harbor Freight, Home Depot, and even Amazon's private label tool brands have all quietly updated their 2026 catalogs with double-digit price increases on everything from drill bits to socket wrenches. And it's not just big-ticket items. Nails, bolts, washers, hinges, saw blades, even basic pry bars are all made from tariff-sensitive metals. When raw material costs jump, these small items get hit hard because their profit margins are thin to begin with. Here's the kicker. Tools never expire. They don't go bad on the shelf. And you'll always find a use for them, whether you're patching a roof, building a cash box, or fixing your neighbor's generator in exchange for eggs. So if your kit's missing basics like a solid claw hammer, locking pliers, a tape measure, or a set of hex keys, buy now. Grab extras of the little stuff too. Screws in multiple sizes, galvanized nails, zip ties, duct tape, yes, it counts, and a few extra drill bits. Store them in a dry tote or metal bucket and you've got a mobile repair station ready for anything. Because in 2026, self-reliance won't be about what you own, it'll be about what you can fix. And that starts with the right tool in your hand today. Item number 8, clothing, workwear, and footwear. You might not think about your jacket or boots as preps until you're standing in a freezing driveway during a week-long blackout, or trudging through snow to check on a neighbor and your gear starts failing. And in 2026, replacing it won't just be inconvenient, it'll be expensive. Nearly all durable outdoor clothing and footwear sold in the US is imported, mostly from Vietnam, Bangladesh, and China. And right now, those countries are facing skyrocketing factory wages, energy rationing, and shipping delays. The World Bank reports manufacturing and freight costs for apparel rose 19% in 2025 alone. On top of that, new U.S. customs enforcement on country of origin labeling is slowing imports and pushing brands to raise prices early. The result? Winter 2026 inventories are already priced higher. Insulated boots, Carhartt-style work pants, thermal base layers, heavy-duty gloves, and waterproof rain shells, all expected to jump 20 to 30% by February. And here's the reality. Seasonal gear doesn't go on clearance when demand spikes. It vanishes. Remember the empty boot aisles during the 2021 polar vortex? That wasn't a fluke. It's the new normal. So if you've been eyeing a quality winter coat, a pair of all-weather boots, or even just extra wool, socks, and work gloves, buy them now. These items last for years, store easily, and can mean the difference between staying mobile in a crisis or being stuck indoors, cold and sidelined. Because when the power's out and the temperature drops, your body heat won't come from your thermostat. It'll come from what you're wearing. And in 2026, staying warm won't just be about comfort. It'll be about capability. Item number 9, household essentials and cleaning supplies. This might seem like the boring part of your prep list, but trust me, it's the category that collapses first during any real disruption. Why? Because over 89% of liquid detergents, disinfectants, paper goods, and trash bags are imported, according to the American Cleaning Institute's 2025 supply chain report. And with Red Sea shipping reroutes, West Coast port slowdowns, and new EPA chemical compliance rules kicking in January 2026, shelves are already thinning out in parts of the Midwest and Southeast. Think about it. When the power's out for days, you're not just dealing with cold and hunger, you're managing waste, hygiene, and sanitation. One backed up trash can, one moldy sponge, one shortage of toilet paper, and morale plummets faster than your battery bank. Yet right now, these items are still cheap, plentiful, and easy to stash under a bed or in a closet. A $20 investment today gets you months of dish soap, laundry detergent, bleach, sponges, paper towels, and heavy-duty trash bags. And unlike food or fuel, none of this expires. Bleach lasts a year if stored cool and dark as bars of soap indefinitely. Even powdered laundry detergent stays potent for years. Here's the thing people forget. Cleanliness isn't a luxury during a crisis. It's disease prevention. One outbreak of norovirus or giardia in a stressed household can cripple your entire preparedness plan. But with basic sanitation, you avoid that nightmare entirely. So don't wait for the prepper panic. Grab extra rolls of paper towels. They're great for filtering, cleaning, and even emergency bandages. Gallon jugs of vinegar and hydrogen peroxide for multi-use cleaning. And yes, a few extra boxes of trash bags. Get reusable cloths too, but don't skip disposables. They're lightweight, sterile, and critical when water's rationed. Because in 2026, your ability to stay healthy might not depend on your stockpile of beans, but on that $3 bottle of dish soap you bought back in November. And honestly, that's one regret you can avoid with a single trip to the store this week. Item number 10, emergency power and lighting. When the lights go out, and in 2025 they went out more than 220 times across the US due to extreme weather, grid overload, and cyber incidents, your phone flashlight won't cut it. You need reliable, long-lasting, no-fuss lighting and backup power that works the second the grid fails. And right now that gear is perched on the edge of a major price surge. Battery costs are climbing fast, lithium prices remain volatile, and both Energizer and Panasonic confirmed in Q3 2025 that rechargeable AAA and power bank prices will jump 18 to 22% starting January 1st due to new mineral sourcing regulations and shipping constraints. Even basic LED lanterns and headlamps, many of which rely on imported circuit boards and rare earth LEDs, are seeing delays and cost increases. But here's the good news. This is one of the easiest categories to prep for now. A $25 LED lantern, a headlamp with red light mode, a few sets of lithium AA batteries, and a 300-watt power bank can transform a blackout from a crisis into a minor inconvenience. And these items store indefinitely, use zero space, and pay dividends in comfort and safety. Think about it. During a winter storm, you're not just reading by candlelight, you're checking on kids, treating injuries, boiling water, or signaling for help. A headlamp leaves your hands free. A power bank keeps your weather radio and phone alive. And a simple USB rechargeable lantern, it can light an entire room for 50 hours on one charge. Don't wait until the forecast calls for ice. Stock up now while prices are low and selection is wide. Grab multiples if you can, because when your neighbor's fumbling with a dying phone screen at 2 a.m., you'll be calm, lit, and in control. In 2026, darkness won't just be inconvenient, it'll be dangerous. But with the right light in your hand today, you'll never have to face it unprepared. Item number 11, medical and first aid consumables. Let's be brutally honest, most preppers have a first aid kit, but it's half empty, expired, or missing the items you actually need in a real emergency. And in 2026, replacing those supplies won't just be harder, it'll be significantly more expensive. According to the FDA's October 2025 update, a backlog of over 1,200 generic drug applications, including common antibiotics like amoxicillin and doxycycline, is delaying critical imports from India and Europe. At the same time, the U.S. is facing shortages in basic medical consumables. Gauze production is down 14% due to cotton supply issues, and N95 respirator costs have jumped 20% after new NIOSH certification requirements took effect last month. This isn't just about bugs and bandages, it's about real-world scenarios. A deep cut during storm cleanup, a burn from cooking on a camp stove, a respiratory infection during a prolonged bug-in, or a dental abscess with no dentist open for days. Without the right supplies, minor issues become major crises. Now is the time to audit and upgrade your medical stockpile. Restock trauma dressings, burn ointment, medical tape, and high-quality tourniquets. Replenish OTC pain meds, antihistamines, and electrolyte powders. If you have a prescription for antibiotics, many doctors will provide a just-in-case script for preppers. Get them filled now. Store them cool and dry. Most remain effective for years past expiration if sealed properly. And don't forget the small stuff: nitrile gloves, alcohol wipes, tweezers, thermometers, and even dental repair kits. These cost pennies today but become priceless when pharmacies are closed or cleaned out. Because in 2026, your safety won't depend on how many beans you have, but on whether you can stop an infection before it stops you. And that starts with a well-stocked, up-to-date medical kit. Assembled before January 1st, item number 12, fuel stabilizers and portable stoves. You've got gas in your generator, propane in your tank, maybe even a stash of white gas for emergencies. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Without the right stabilizers, that fuel could be useless in just a few months. And starting January 1st, 2026, the products that keep it viable are getting hit with new EPA compliance fees and shipping restrictions that'll push prices up fast. The EPA's Tier 3 fuel regulations are tightening next year, requiring stricter handling of ethanol blends and long-term storage additives. Companies like Stiabil and Seafoam have already announced 15 to 20% price increases for 2026. Meanwhile, propane canister imports, especially the 1-LB disposables used with camping stoves, are facing new DOT labeling rules that are slowing distribution and shrinking availability in rural areas. Now, consider this. During the 2025 Texas deep freeze, thousands of preppers discovered their generator fuel had gummed up from ethanol separation, rendering their backup power dead weight. Don't let that be you. Grab Fuel Stabilizer now, enough to treat all your gasoline, diesel, and kerosene for 24 months. Store it in a cool, dry place and rotate your fuel every 6 to 12 months. And while you're at it, secure a reliable portable stove. Brands like Coleman and MSR just raised prices on their 2026 models by 18%, and demand spikes every winter. A compact propane or alcohol stove lets you boil water, cook meals, and sterilize tools, even when the power's out for weeks. Pair it with extra fuel canisters, they store safely for years, and a metal pot, and you've got a full kitchen anywhere. Because in 2026, heat and hot food won't be conveniences. They'll be force multipliers for morale, health, and resilience. And the $12 bottle of stabilizer you buy today could save your entire fuel cache tomorrow. Don't wait. Your future self will thank you when the snow's falling and your stove's roaring. Item number 13, communication and signal gear. When cell towers go down, and in 2025 major outages affected over 47 million Americans during hurricanes, wildfires, and grid failures, your smartphone becomes little more than a fancy paperweight. And right now, the gear that keeps you connected when the grid fails is facing its own quiet crisis. Rising costs, regulatory hurdles, and shrinking availability. Starting January 1st, 2026, the FCC is enforcing stricter labeling and certification rules for two-way radios, including popular GMRS and ham-compatible models like Baofeng's. Retailers are already passing on compliance costs. Expect 15 to 25% price hikes on handheld radios, antennas, and even NOAA weather alert devices. On top of that, global chip shortages continue to delay production of new units, while ham radio license applications have surged 210% since 2023 per ARRL data, straining the very networks preppers rely on. But here's the good news. You don't need a military comms van to stay connected. A $40 GMRS radio lets you talk with family across a neighborhood or rural property. A $25 NOAA weather radio gives you life-saving storm alerts even during power outages. And low-tech signaling tools like signal mirrors, emergency whistles, and even bright reflective tape cost almost nothing, but can summon help when you're injured or stranded. This isn't about paranoia, it's about practical redundancy. If your phone dies, your radio still works. If your radio fails, a whistle can carry a mile. In a bug-in scenario, coordinated communication prevents panic. In an evacuation, it keeps your group together. So grab at least 2 matching radios, spare batteries, a NOAA alert radio, and a basic signaling kit. Program local emergency frequencies, test them with your household, store them in a dry, accessible spot. Because in 2026, isolation is the real threat, not the storm itself. And the ability to say, I'm okay or help is coming might be the most powerful survival tool you own. Don't wait until the sirens sound. Get connected now while the airwaves are still clear and the prices haven't spiked. Let's zoom out for a second. The world in 2026 isn't going to collapse overnight, but it is getting more fragile, more expensive, and less forgiving of delay. These 13 items aren't about fear, they're about foresight. Every one of them is still available, still affordable, and still sitting on shelves right now at 2025 prices. But that window closes fast. Tariffs lock in, shelves empty, prices jump, and once January 1st hits, you won't get a do-over. You don't need to buy everything today. But start with one, then another next week. Build your resilience piece by piece while the rest of the country scrolls, waits, and wonders why everything costs so much suddenly. Preparedness isn't about being perfect, it's about being ahead. And right now, you've got a rare chance to stay ahead without paying a premium. If this video helped you see what's coming and what to do about it, smash that like button. It tells YouTube this matters, and it helps other preppers find this info before it's too late. Drop a comment below. Tell me which of these 13 items you're buying first, or if I missed something critical. Let the community know. Your insight could save someone else real money or real trouble. And if you haven't already, subscribe and hit the bell. Because next week, I'm breaking down the 3 silent shortages already happening in rural America, and the 1 item vanishing from hardware stores that no one's talking about. Stay sharp, stay stocked, and remember, the best time to prepare was years ago. The second best time? Today.